Christ is risen. Well, it's Bright Friday, and Lord willing, we've had a few days to be able to reflect on Lent and Holy Week and Pascha, and I know that going into it, none of us really wanted to do it the way that we had to do it, but I've just been astounded by the many blessings that I've been hearing about as I've talked to many of you over the course of this week. And it sounds like that even though it wasn't exactly what we had perhaps wanted or hoped for, but it was a great blessing nonetheless. And I've been thinking a lot about an image that Gregory of Nyssa uses in order to explain the power of the resurrection of Christ. Gregory of Nyssa talks about how the death is like a fish, and Christ is like a worm that a fisherman puts down into the water in order to get to catch that fish. And when the fish goes to get the worm, he bites onto it and he thinks, "I've done it. I've got this. This is mine." And needless to say, he's been duped. And the fisherman is able to pull out the fish because the hook that is there behind the worm was actually able to get him and to kill him. And so Gregory of Nyssa uses that image as a description of how death is destroyed by Christ. Death attempted to swallow up Christ, and yet, even though it took hold of Christ and the body of Christ, and he really did die, the divinity of Christ was that hook that destroys the power of death. And so I've kind of been thinking and reflecting that, somebody might have thought that all of this happening during Lent and Holy Week and Pascha might have disrupted the Christians and made them think, well, they're not going to be able to do their big celebrations this year. We are going to win. But the reality is, I think Orthodoxy won the internet last week. Can you imagine what the executives at YouTube and Facebook were thinking when they saw all of the different activity that was going on throughout the week? And all of it, probably not all of it, a lot of it was church-related and really excellent church-related things. And now there is even a whole bunch of videos on YouTube and on Facebook that will just always be there, a whole library of resources and references for people to be able to discover the Orthodox Church in a new and profound way because of it. So there have been many blessings that have happened because of the way that we were asked to celebrate Holy Week and Lent and Pascha this year. Now, the great many blessings doesn't mean that it wasn't hard, or that it doesn't continue to be hard. But the reality is, as we are able to embrace the desert and begin to see some of the rewards and to experience some of the blessings that we have experienced because we have embraced the desert, then we'll perhaps be able to endure the rest of the desert, because it's not over yet. We still have a ways to go of enduring the desert that we are in. We perhaps thought that once we got to Pascha, things would be better and different, but the reality is the world is still the world around us, and it's a good remembrance. But at the same time, we're able to have a better understanding perhaps of St. Paul's words to the Romans when he says, "All things work together for the good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose." And so we're beginning to see a little bit of the reward that is present when we really do embrace the desert. So as we still have more of this to come, I really hope that you'll be able to look back at the blessings of Lent, of Holy Week, of Pascha, the continued blessings around you. And even though they're hard, and remember the crucifixion was really hard. Christ truly experienced pain and suffering and death. But while it was hard, it was exactly what was needed, because the result was the destruction of death. And the same can be true with us. As we continue to embrace the desert, we've had a little glimpse of some of the rewards of what we're experiencing. And Lord willing, that will help to propel us to be able to faithfully endure the desert ahead and continue to see and find the many blessings that I'm sure are yet to come. Christ is risen.